In the cold, untouched forests of Siberia, where Stevan lived a simple life, he was a man with little to his name, no family, and no education like the others around him. But despite the challenges, Stevan had a sharp mind and a big heart. He never shied away from a challenge, and it was his determination that led him to become a forest ranger. The job felt like it was made for him. Having spent his whole life in the mountains, Stevan knew the forests better than anyone. Every day, he walked through the snow-covered wilderness, making sure the forest and its creatures were safe. It was a quiet, peaceful life, with nothing but the sounds of nature surrounding him. But one cold winter day, something happened that would change everything for Stevan. That morning, the forest was quieter than usual. The snow lay thick underfoot, and the cold bit at Stevan's skin as he walked through the woods. He followed his usual path when suddenly, he stopped to catch his breath. It was then that he heard it. A soft, sad whimper coming from somewhere nearby. Stevan paused and listened carefully, trying to figure out where the sound was coming from. His breath formed clouds in the chilly air as he scanned the snow-covered ground. But just as quickly as it had started, the noise stopped, as if it had never been there at all. At first, Stevan thought he had imagined it, maybe hearing things in the quiet of the morning. But then, just as he was about to keep moving, he heard it again, louder and clearer this time. Stevan's heart raced as he followed the sound, his eyes searching for its source. It was coming from a bush, half hidden by the snow. Stepping carefully toward the source of the sound, Stevan was shocked to find something unexpected: a small tiger cub. Its tiny head peeked out from beneath a pile of snow, its body shivering with cold. The cub tried to shake off the snow but was weak, covered in painful-looking bite marks. One of its legs was twisted in a way that suggested it was broken. Stevan's heart sank as he saw the cub's helpless state. Without thinking, he gently reached down and lifted the fragile cub into his arms, feeling its small body tremble against his chest. The forest ranger knew just how dangerous the mountain winters could be. The cub wouldn't survive long out here in such a condition. He hurried down the mountain, determined to help the little creature. Back at his small cottage, Stevan worked quickly. He made a soft bed from old clothes and laid the cub down carefully. Using what little supplies he had, he tended to its wounds, stopping the bleeding and wrapping the injured leg with a makeshift splint made from sticks. Despite the pain, the cub stayed still, trusting Stevan completely. But Stevan felt helpless. He didn't know what to feed a tiger cub. In his desperation, he heated some milk, hoping it would help. At first, the cub seemed unsure, but slowly, it began to lap up the milk. Stevan watched with relief as the cub drank, its small body grateful for the nourishment. It wasn't long before he named the cub Nova, feeling a deep bond with the tiny creature. Every day, Stevan cared for Nova, tending to his wounds and making sure he was fed. Over time, the cub's strength grew, and his injured leg healed. Though a scar remained, it was a reminder of how far he had come. As the days passed, Nova grew bigger and stronger. The small cub had turned into a majestic tiger. Despite his size, Nova's playful nature never changed. He would often follow Stevan through the mountains, running through the tall grass, climbing trees, and exploring the forests with the curious energy of a young kitten. Stevan loved having Nova by his side, but he also knew that Nova was still a wild animal. It was clear that Nova belonged in the wild, not as a pet. Though it was hard to accept, Stevan knew that letting Nova go would be the best thing for him. One day, Stevan made the hardest decision of his life: to release Nova back into the wild. He carried the tiger to a familiar spot in the forest, a place where the tall trees stretched high into the sky and the air smelled fresh and wild. Stevan bent down and whispered softly to Nova, saying his final goodbyes. As he stood up and turned to leave, Nova, as he always did, followed him. Stevan tried to push the tiger away, shouting at him, hoping he would understand that he needed to stay in the forest. Nova had never seen Stevan angry before. The sight of it frightened him. With a startled roar, he ran off into the woods, leaving Stevan standing alone. His heart felt heavy with sorrow as he watched his friend disappear. In the years that followed, Stevan continued his work as a forest ranger, but the memory of Nova stayed with him. He often wondered what had happened to the tiger, the one who had trusted him when he was weak and in need of care. Even as the years passed and Stevan grew older, He never saw Nova again. His health began to decline, and his body grew frail. One day, while on patrol, he collapsed from a sharp pain in his chest. A villager named Ezra found him and rushed him to safety. It was then that Stevan learned his kidneys were failing. The doctor told him he needed surgery or his life would be in danger, but Stevan, proud and stubborn, refused the treatment. He couldn't afford it and decided to return to the mountain, continuing his duties as the ranger of the forest. Months passed, and Stevan's condition grew worse. His body felt weaker every day, but he refused to stop his work. He kept climbing the mountains and checking the forests, even though the pain was becoming unbearable. Then, one summer, disaster struck. A wildfire swept through the mountains, moving quickly and destroying everything in its path. Stevan was caught in the fire, and he struggled to escape, but his tired body made it nearly impossible. The flames kept getting closer, and with no strength left, Stevan collapsed on the ground, too weak to get up. Just as he thought all hope was lost, something amazing happened. Through the smoke and flames, Stevan saw a figure charging toward him. It was a tiger. His heart skipped a beat. Could it really be Nova? Or was it just a dream caused by the smoke and pain? The tiger, though burned by the fire, was determined to help him. It grabbed Stevan's clothes and gently pulled him away from the fire. Stevan, too weak to do much, crawled after the tiger, following its lead. The flames roared behind them, but the tiger didn't stop. It dragged Stevan through the smoke, undeterred by the danger, keeping him safe. Just as they neared safety, a burning branch fell from a tree, knocking Stevan to the ground. The tiger, still strong despite the pain, quickly pulled the branch away and cleared a path. Both of them were badly burned, but the tiger never stopped. It kept dragging Stevan through the smoke and flames, determined to get him to safety. At last, they reached the village. The tiger, tired but still unwavering, nudged Stevan's legs with its large head. Stevan looked down in surprise, his heart racing. He saw the scar on the tiger's leg, the same one from years ago. "Nova?" Stevan whispered, hardly believing his own voice. The tiger met his gaze, its golden eyes filled with recognition. It let out a deep, powerful roar of approval. In that moment, Stevan knew for sure his old friend, Nova, had returned to save him. But after a few moments, Nova turned and began walking back into the forest, his true home. Stevan stood still, watching as the tiger disappeared into the trees. He wanted to call out, to ask Nova to stay, but he knew it wouldn't change anything. The tiger had found his way back to where he belonged. Even though Nova was gone, Stevan kept the memory of his friend close to his heart. As he continued his life as a forest ranger, Stevan knew their bond would never fade, no matter how much time passed. It would stay with him forever. So, that's all for today. What are your thoughts about this story? Tell us in the comment section below. And if you like this, make sure to like and subscribe. Your support means so much to us. Until then, take care and thanks for watching.